Welcome to the fifth and final installment of the timepiece sessions, where we're going to answer the question, why do I snap at people so easily? Yes, we had to cover this topic in the timepiece sessions because this is a subject I know quite well. So if you feel triggered by what I'm about to share with you, please know that nothing I say here comes from judgment. I am the last one who's going to throw stones at you. So I know this topic really well, both being on the giving and the receiving end. But we don't have to snap at people. And in fact, you're going to find out exactly why we do this, and especially why we snap at those we love the most. And you're going to know that this applies to you if any of these resonate with you. You're constantly apologizing to people for your bad behavior. You feel embarrassed at your behavior at times. You think about how you should have handled a situation with your employee or your loved one better, and it just kind of stays on your mind. You often think on how disproportional your reaction was to the situation. And it feels like it comes out of nowhere, like you have no choice, that this is the only option. And when you see something not exactly the way you want it in your life, maybe the way your coffee is sitting in the morning, the way files are set out on your desk, you become furious and you begin complaining in your head, even if you don't say it out loud. Maybe you even sneak in a passive aggressive remark later in the day towards somebody about that thing. So, for example, you might snap at an employee for not doing what you told them, quote, a million times, or you may snap at your spouse in your brain because they interrupted you when you were trying to work, or you may snap at your kids because they aren't picking up their room like you told them to a million times. So in the moment, it doesn't feel like you have any control. But what's happening when we snap is that we're seeking control in some area of our life that feels out of control. And that area of our life is usually work. Work really spills into every single area of our life. So the snapping is a sign from our primal brain that is saying, oh, you have zero control right now, and that feels scary. So let's try to exert control here. It's just an automatic response that doesn't have to be automatic, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So you're going to feel scared because you're afraid of dropping the ball somewhere, that you're not going to get everything done and that you're doing a bad job at work. And then to top it all off, when you notice you're snapping, you feel like a bad wife or husband, you feel like a bad mom or dad, and all the things keep piling up at work, right? It just keeps coming, right? Whether it's from your family, whether it's from other responsibilities, but there's always something added on to the work, the never ending to do list. And this creates a constant feedback loop in our brains of, I'm not in control, I feel scared, and then snapping at people. And it goes over and over and over again. So you're not doing this because you're a bad person. It simply feels like nothing in that moment is in your control. And you're not having these thoughts consciously. These are all subconscious thoughts. And these are things that I work on with my clients to start bringing these things to light so you can calm it down. So your primal brain thinks it needs control, but what you really want is things to go smoothly in your practice so you don't need to constantly worry about problems popping up. What you really want is from some understanding from your spouse for a little support around the house in any way you can get it, right? Same thing for the kids, right? Here's another problem we don't even think about: wasted energy. Everything is energy, including time. So says Einstein. So imagine yourself as a bucket filled with energy. Every time you waste energy snapping at someone, becoming angry, annoyed, frustrated, all of those feelings, you are creating a hole in the bucket. And the energy just starts spilling out of it. We don't want leaky buckets. We want to notice whenever we have an energy leak, right? All these little holes coming out of our bucket, and we want to plug them up. And that means we need to start paying attention to our primal brain's reactions. We need to start being understanding with ourselves and really understanding how our brain works and learning how to really strengthen the voice that is of reason. And I talked about that in one of the prior timepiece sessions. So when we start to strengthen that second voice, we start to get a handle on the wheel of the car we're driving. When we're snapping at people, the primal brain's got its hands on the steering wheel of our life and it is taking us wherever it wants, right? This is what I mean by that. Your brain is habitually thinking thoughts like, I don't have enough time. I'm busy. Don't bother me. You should know this by now. Don't bother me. I'm doing so much. Don't bother me. Don't add anything to my plate. And those are the automatic responses that the brain is giving you and creating this cycle, fueling this cycle, and creating lots of holes in the bucket of energy. This is a mindset that gets repeated over and over again. It's simply a habit. And the habit creates fear and time scarcity. We snap because we're reacting to this fear and time scarcity. And what it's costing you is so much. I want you to ask yourself what it's costing you as I go through what I saw it was costing me, having this mindset and not addressing it. For me, it was costing me a lot of time ruminating on how bad I felt about how I behaved and self-flagellating myself. I know it was also creating a situation where my loved ones felt like they were walking on eggshells around me. And no one likes that feeling. I've been on the receiving end of that, and that does not feel good. I felt horrible a lot, and it was chipping away at my self-confidence, my self-concept. I didn't feel good about myself. My self-esteem really felt low. And wasn't talking to myself well at all, right? For you, maybe it's costing you an employee who's actually really good at their job, but who's overwhelmed, and they may need more than a verbal direction. It may be costing you a loving relationship with your spouse where they feel comfortable sharing how they feel. It may be costing you a loving relationship with your kids where they feel comfortable coming to you for everything that they need. And the work we're doing in Timepiece for Lawyers will help you break the cycle of fear and time scarcity that really causes us to snap at people. During our time together, you're going to learn the skills to manage your mindset and your emotions. So you're healing relationships instead of harming them. Inside Timepiece for Lawyers, you're going to get 12 weekly calls with me where you're going to get coached by me on anything causing you stress, anxiety, overwhelm, you name it. And I know family comes up. You're going to get bonuses like my stellar SOPs training to help you communicate to employees exactly what you need to make your life easier without having to repeat yourself a million times. You're also going to get my bonus training on hiring dream employees if this is a particular sticking point for you. Plus, you're going to get so many good bonuses. I just can't name them all here or we'd be here forever. So you've got to go to the enrollment page, go to dinacataldo.com/timepiece. That's PEACE to see all of the bonuses, get all the details about the dates, everything. It's all listed in there for you step by step at dinacataldo.com/TIMEPEACE. So let me give you a peek at how coaching really helped one of my clients heal her relationship with her husband. So one of the things that I do in these coaching sessions is really search for where are your annoyances and your frustrations, because those are creating really big energy leaks. And so that is what happened in this session. One of my clients noticed she was incredibly annoyed when she saw her husband come home from work and start watching things on his computer while she was cooking dinner. And she really wanted to have a conversation about their day. She wanted to, be involved with him and know how his day was. But she didn't communicate this to him. Instead, she could feel that annoyance building up once we got some coaching around it. And then she could actually notice it and give herself some space to not snap at her husband. But in the moment, it didn't feel like she had a choice, right? She'd snap at him just for little things, right? She'd make passive aggressive remarks, she'd pick fights, and this was really causing a rift in the relationship. Because, of course, we don't want to be around people like that. We definitely don't want to communicate with people like that. So we start distancing ourselves. And not only that, but it was wasting so much brain space for her. She couldn't decompress from work because she was so focused on these interactions. And when she was at work, oftentimes she'd have an interaction in the morning that derailed her day. So these interactions took a lot of her time, a lot of her attention and energy. And when we notice our energy flowing anywhere we don't want it to go, we want to take a look at it and plug up that energy leak. So when we coach on what the annoyance really was, that annoyance was fear that he was disconnecting and not interested in her. She saw that her primal brain was reacting, and that's when she would snap. She learned through our coaching how to not only become more understanding of how her brain worked and was reacting, but how his brain worked. She realized that he often complained about his job and that this was time that he needed to decompress. It had absolutely nothing to do with her. There was plenty of evidence in every other area of her life, their relationship, that he loved her. And not too long ago, after implementing what we talked about in coaching, she stopped snapping at him and started having conversations with him. And she noticed that he's been doing more sweet things for her, like he used to do when they first got together. And that's the power of the work that we do together in Timepiece for Lawyers. If this episode resonated with you, I highly recommend that you sign up for Timepiece. You can do that by going to dinacataldo.com/timepiece, PEACE. So I'm going to take up to 15 lawyers in this class, and several of these spots are already filled. So I want to encourage you to sign up now to save your spot. We're going to start September 3rd. So go to dinacataldo.com/timepiece. All right, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. I hope you have enjoyed these timepiece sessions, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.